Sup, sup. Welcome back. I'm excited to have you here. And the next comic book day is February the 10th of 2021, which also happens to be my grandma's 80th birthday. So, before I ramble too long, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, turn on the notification bell, connect, follow, whatever platform you're on, I'm probably there. So just look for me and hit the button next to my name. So, February the 10th of 2021, there's quite a few books that I'm excited for, and the first section I'm going to go over is Future State because this is the second and final month of this event, or whatever they are dubbing it at this point. I went into this a little negative, but I've really enjoyed pretty much every book with a couple of minor exceptions. So I'm all in on Future State. I've been trying to read every book that comes out so I can keep up with it and kind of know what's going on in this new state of things. And, everything's been very well written. There's been a lot of great artwork, and there's some characters that I do hope stick around beyond this. So without rambling too much more, let me talk about what is coming out. So Green Lantern number 2. I really liked the first one. It was basically like 3 one-shots. So I'm not sure exactly what Green Lantern number 2 is going to have. It might be 3 more one-shot stories. But I really liked what they did in the first one because they kind of set up this universe where we have multiple ring users that their rings aren't working currently. So they have no powers, no abilities. And they're really just trying to survive as it seems like they're kind of being hunted down. So I'm excited to see what they do with Green Lantern number 2. Justice League number 2 is pretty exciting to me because I really enjoyed the first one. And while I thought Justice League was pretty good, the second half of that book was Justice League Dark, and that had some pretty awesome storytelling going on. I really liked a lot of the panels and the artwork and things like that. And the story ended on quite a big cliffhanger. So I'm excited to see what happens in Justice League, but I'm even more excited to see what happens with Justice League Dark. Robin Eternal number 2 is out this week. And when I read the first one, I really wasn't sure what to expect. I've never been real big on Robin. And I really liked the way that the cover looked on Robin Eternal. And of course I was trying to read all the books, so I thought, let me check this one out. Turns out it was one of my favorite Future State books so far. I thought it was really cool, the stuff they did with Robin. It had this very, almost like Destiny meets, comic books, and there was some Batman Beyond vibes to it. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see what they do with the second one. Superman Wonder Woman number 2 is out this week. And the first one I thought was really cool because the artwork was kind of hit or miss. And I know a lot of people really didn't like it. It definitely wasn't as polished as the artwork you see in most Big 2 books. But I really liked the way that they did the story because it's utilizing Jonathan Kent as Superman. And then you have the new Wonder Woman, Yara Flor. And we kind of got into some of the a little bit more of their characters and personalities and learning who they are and what they're about. And we also got kind of into some strange things based on kind of the lore that Yara Flor comes from. So I'm really excited to see what they do with the second one and see if it is as much fun as the first one was. But either way, it's on my radar because I did enjoy the story that was told in the first one. Teen Titans number 2 will be out this week, and this was a title, the first book, I enjoyed Teen Titans on TV, like the show, the first original Teen Titans series, but I've never read any of the comic books, and so going into this, I knew that the team is usually a little different in the comics than it was in the show, and I wasn't sure, how much I was going to need to know about Teen Titans to get into it, but it really felt like an extension of the show, almost like a cap on the show in some ways, or a continuation, sort of like what they did, I guess, with Batman: The Adventures Continue, where they kind of like resurrected the show through comic books. And all of the voices felt very much like the characters from the show. The story definitely dips a little into the comic lore, and there's a lot more going on than just what you would have got in the show. But at the end of that first issue, we got to see the Red X put his mask back on. We see Nightwing make a weird turn. And it was a very dense read, but it also felt like it had a lot of connective tissue for this entire future state event and kind of the state that the characters in this are going through, you know. So I really enjoyed Teen Titans #1, and I'm excited to see what the second one's going to do to continue where that one left off. Dark Detective #3. I really liked Dark Detective #1, and then I read Dark Detective #2, and I kind of liked it even a little bit more. So I'm excited to see what they do with the third one. At this point, we kind of know like Bruce Wayne and Batman are presumed dead by the magistrate, but obviously he isn't, because this story is following him and his story in, you know, future Gotham with the magistrate and everything else. And so I'm kind of excited to see how they continue to develop that story. I really enjoyed, they had, I think in the first one is when they had the Grifter backup story, and that one was pretty good. A lot of people liked it a lot more than I did. However, I did really like the backup story in the second issue with the Red Hood. And so I'm excited to see where everything goes from there. But all in all, I've been impressed with Future State, and Dark Detective has been great. So I'm excited to see what Bruce Wayne's story is in, you know, in Future State beyond where we know him now. The next couple books on my list, they all fall outside of the Marvel DC regulars. It's a lot of, I guess, like indie and small press titles. And some of these I have a little bit of insight on. So I'm excited for everybody to get to read a lot of these. Paranormal Hitmen is out from Behemoth Comics this week. This will be the first issue. And I interviewed the writer, Brett Murphy, not too long ago on my channel. So make sure you check out that video and get a little insight as to what Paranormal Hitmen is. But it essentially, you know, it's about hitmen, and they have the ability kind of like to utilize ghosts and time travel and stuff. So that makes the story very much something that can be packed full of all kinds of cool references. It's a bit of a like action comedy, and it has, the artwork looks great, and I really like the color tones and the accents that they use. It's like this vibrant green, like emerald green kind of color, and it really just like brings the whole package together. So if you're looking for a new #1 to read, I would definitely check out Paranormal Hitmen, as well as Radiant Black. And this is Kyle Higgins doing a kind of like Sentai, tokusatsu kind of twist, like American twist. And so Radiant Black is this character. He gets like this alien suit, and it kind of makes him into like sort of a Power Ranger kind of character. But it's really cool, and I really like the artwork and the logo design and everything like that. It seems almost autobiographical, but there's also a lot of cool, like really fun things going on. And I'm excited to see where it goes from there, because Kyle Higgins, he wrote, he kind of created like the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger comic universe that we have now that's doing extremely well. And he wrote the first 31 issues of that series that led up to and followed through on the Shattered Grid premise. And so I'm excited to see what he can do with tokusatsu that's not like caught up in all of these like licensing issues and caught up with a lot of history and stuff. Something where like all the chains are gone and he's able to do exactly what he wants to do with it. So I'm excited to see where that one goes. Space Bastards #2. I picked up the first one because Brian Wayne on Cheers to Comics mentioned it, and I generally enjoy a lot of the same things that he does. So when he talked so highly about Space Bastards, I knew I had to check that out, and it's a lot of fun. Like, it's just a good like action comedy. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a comedy, but the main character is kind of sarcastic, and the way that these characters kind of play off of each other, There's a lot of gore, there's a lot of adult language, a lot of things like that, but at the same time, it's also just like a lot of fun. So if you haven't checked out Space Bastards, I would definitely suggest checking that one out. I'm sure you can get a hold of the first one, and then the second one will be out this week. And then, of course, I have to talk a little bit about Scout's Honor. I really liked that first issue. Scout's Honor was really cool. It sets up a really interesting world, and it's very robust. And in the second issue, we're going to get more of Kit's backstory, as well as some more world building. I had the awesome pleasure of interviewing David Pepos last night, so that video will be up on Tuesday, so you can check that out and kind of learn a little bit more about Scout's Honor and who David Pepos is. And then on Wednesday, you'll be able to walk into your shop and pick up Scout's Honor number 2. And I'm sure you can get a copy of number 1 from somewhere as well. I know it sold very well, but I don't think it sold out. There's also these cool merit badges that go with it. So if you do pick up a copy of Scout's Honor, make sure you're looking for your merit badges. Because it kind of like ties into the whole world, the imagery, the themes. And that's something that David talks a lot about, is how important imagery and themes are to him in his comics and in his storytelling and things like that. So, of course, plan to grab Scout's Honor too, but also don't miss the awesome interview I did with them. That'll be out on Tuesday, and then you can go grab Scout's Honor number 2 on Wednesday. Homesick Pilots number 3. I went into this series pretty blind. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not, but pretty much everybody I knew was grabbing it, so I knew that, I wanted to read it so I could kind of be a part of the conversation and see what people thought. It's written by Dan Waters, and the only thing that I knew about him before Homesick Pilots was Coffin Bound, and I read that first issue of Coffin Bound, and it really just didn't grab me. It was not my thing. So Homesick Pilots, I was a little hesitant on, but like I said, I wanted to be part of the conversation, and it totally knocked my socks off. I was a little concerned that the second one wouldn't be able to deliver on the same level, but Dan Waters found a unique perspective on the second issue as well, and so he was able to keep it all interesting. So now I'm really excited to read the third one and see what else he can surprise me with. Mighty Morphin number 4. If you have been reading the Mighty Morphin series so far, then you're probably already hooked. But if for some reason you haven't been gripped by the first 3 issues, I definitely suggest you check out the 4th one, because there is a bombshell of a reveal, and I think it's something that everybody expected to be coming up at some point very soon, but there's a lot more to it, and it's actually way more interesting than I expected. There's also some other great reveals in this issue, and I think if you have been on the fence about Mighty Morphin, then go ahead and grab the 4th one and check that out, and I think it will hook you at that point, because there's a lot of interesting things happening in this issue. Origins number 4 is from Boom Studios. It's a 6-part series, and I bought the first one based on the premise. It's kind of something that I've been really interested in lately. This idea that, like, if there were an apocalypse, how would society rebuild beyond that? After the apocalypse, how do we get back to life and things like that? And so Origins is this story of a guy that basically created, like, androids and, like robots and stuff. And the AI became so smart that it actually basically choked out all the life on the planet. And so it became a full planet of, like, android, like there was no life. They killed off the cattle, they killed off the plants, they killed everything. And so this is kind of like the post-apocalypse at that point, because the android life, the robots and stuff that killed everything, they decide to recreate their creator. And so now that David is brought back to life, he's kind of struggling to understand what all has happened and what is going on. And I'm really interested in the message that it's trying to deliver and kind of the cautionary tale that this can be. And so I'm excited for number 4 to see where it goes. I thought the first one was good. The second one really hooked me, and the third one was even better. So I'm excited to see what we're going to learn in 4, 5, and 6, and what the total story is here. What is that cautionary tale that it's trying to give us? So I'm excited for Origins number 4. I hope other people are reading this series. We only have 3 books left to go, so stick in there because I think it's going to deliver on something really cool. If nothing else, the artwork is pretty amazing. And then the last book on my list is one that I've been excited about for months. I was a big fan of Thumbs from Sean Lewis, so I've been following him since then. And then he talks a lot about Caitlin Yarsky, the artist, and so when he announced that he had this new project coming out from him and Caitlin, I was like, I have to read this. So I grabbed Bliss as soon as it dropped. I've been following this series, and then I want to say it was October or November, they dropped Bliss number 4, and that's when I found out that we were going on a hiatus. And that sucked because number 4 ended with this like awesome cliffhanger, you know? And so here we are in February. Bliss number 5 is coming out, and I couldn't be more excited. This has been an amazing series, definitely one of my favorite series of 2020, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it going through 2021. I don't know what the actual issue count is. I don't know if they know what the actual issue count is. I don't know what parameters they're working with. But yeah, the first 4 books were all great, every one better than the one before it. And like I said, it was left off on a great cliffhanger, so I'm excited to see what happens to Benton and his family in Bliss number 5. So that's all the books that I'm looking forward to this week. I wouldn't be surprised if another 1 or 2 pop up somewhere that I overlooked or something. But this list is definitely pretty much all the books I'm excited for this week. So let me know, what are you thinking about Future State? How has Future State surprised you? Is it not really your cup of tea? Are you completely skipping it altogether? And what books are you really excited for this week? For me, I would say like Radiant Black, Scout's Honor, and Bliss number 5 are probably my top 3 outside of the Future State books. So what do you think? What are you excited for? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, connect, follow, or whatever else you do on whatever platform you're watching this on. If you're on the platform, I'm probably there as well. Look for me under NUEXGUY, NUEXGUY. And until next time, keep flipping pages.